Your job is to rewrite the history of this continent, to bring a sense of pride to that which is African.
Welcome to Pan-African Lifestyle, where we rep the motherland. We post content regularly and invite you to subscribe and share if you're a pal. That's a Pan-African Lifestyler.
Over the past 400 years, we've had systems that have told us what we can and cannot do, that which we are and are not capable of. It has given a quality of education to our parents that has turned them into nothing more than simple mere mortals, in truth, living marginally better than slave laborers. It has created an economic system of capital that has exploited our resources and our people. When we don't have a history of economic liberation, how do we do it? When none of us in our parents or our families, and certainly not in mine, have had a particular history of people who've understood how to create economic enterprise, how do we turn around and say to young people, build a business? Who do they model? Where do they learn? From whence does the knowledge come? It's very nice to talk about funding and venture capital. What nobody tells you is that's real money that real people work for that is intended to build our continent. So who do we blame? Do we blame the archaic systems of economic capital? Africa doesn't need more private equity. We don't need more specialized leverage finance. That's not what we need. And yet here we are, barely a century in, and we think it'll help us build high-growth businesses. Now, it's not the instrument that's the problem, it's how it is being applied. These young entrepreneurs today, if I may be so bold, need to be told a different truth. Your job is to rewrite the history of this continent, to bring a sense of pride to that which is African. Even all these years post our liberation, we continue to think about ourselves in our ideas of nation states, that we form our identity by where we come from or what our ethnicity is, when in fact we don't realize that we live in arguably the greatest and largest marketplace in the world. Yours and my greatest challenge as entrepreneurs today is to connect each other to each other. The history of this continent will be written 100 years from today, and the true question that must be asked is whose name will resonate in those history books? Who will we be in 100 years' time? Who amongst us will dare build an institution that will far outlive yours and my meager existence? Because the very challenge that has brought us to where we are today as Africans is we've had leaders who've not been able to think beyond their own life terms. You and I, as Africans, perhaps, need a different relationship with time. One that transcends the flesh and moves into the spirit and creates for the future. For how much longer will you and I be happy with the status quo that exists? A status quo that over the past 100 years continues to put you and I as African people at the recipients of all forces shaping the global world. So if I asked you a question, what's happened in the world over the past few years that we've done that's shaped the rest of it? How many of us here would answer in the affirmative and give an example? And the truth is, it's because of the narrative and conversations that we've had. We've had a conversation that makes it okay for Africans to just be okay. The idea here is we need a radically new form of thinking. Now that we're clear on this, let me explain to you why we're not doing it. There is a deeper problem. And the deeper problem is our inability to understand the ecosystem and life cycle of entrepreneurship. All entrepreneurs start out as startups. We should be at growth level. What is the first thing top talent does in Africa? It leaves. Think about it. If you think about the top Africans shaping the rest of the world today, they're not lightly doing it in our own continent. They're somewhere else doing it. And a part of the narrative we need to reshape is how do we bring them back here to build what is jointly ours? There is a huge mass of knowledge in the African diaspora. We need to bring them back in here. So we need to create a culture that says start. Start badly. Start scrappy. Make mistakes. Fail. Start again. But whatever you do, just start. Yours and my task as the next generation of this continent is to have a bit of faith. We have to start first by educating people to know how to build businesses, creating economic opportunities for those people to build businesses, and then guess what happens? Entrepreneurs are not manufactured in warehouses. They're born. Many people just don't have that trait. You have a very systemic structural challenge against you. And all of us have a responsibility to make sure in our own small corners that we become a part of the solution. Why is it that as human beings, even though we know we desperately need to change, we don't? There is a big difference between transformation and change.
Thanks for tuning in to Pan-African Lifestyle. Share your thoughts in the comment section and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Pan-African Lifestyle to be inspired. For awesome PAL merch, check out panafricanlifestyle.shop. Keep repping the motherland.
Hey everybody, just a quick one. I wanted to send a thought to everybody back home that's been battling with this question about what is the future for Africa. And you know, one of the things that struck me while I've been here is how much time Europeans are spending talking about the future versus how much time and resources we're spending talking about the future. And that's not to say that the past of where we come from is not important, or that the past of where we come from is still not present in our reality, but it is about saying maybe we just need to be careful how much time we're allocating talking about where we come from and how much time we need to be spending talking about where we're going. It's just a thought. Because once again, I think if we get locked in the past, we'll miss the future, and we'll find ourselves in a future that Europe designed for us, not the one that we designed for ourselves. Think about it. Cheers, guys.